Hi there, this is Leisha Johnson from the North Lakeland Discovery Center, part of our Discover at Home series. I am back in our Nature Center today to introduce you to some of our other live education animals, looking at our reptiles. As we meet our different animals, we will learn about what each one has that makes them different and unique from any other animal in the world. So first, let's figure out what makes a reptile a reptile. How are they different from other animals? And we can break it down to 5 main characteristics. One being that they are covered in scales or scutes. Very good. The second characteristic is that they are vertebrates, which means they actually have a backbone. A lot of critters don't. We call those invertebrates. But reptiles are vertebrates with a nice hard backbone. They also breathe through lungs, like humans do. Unlike our amphibian friends who can actually breathe through their skin, reptiles can breathe through and do have lungs. They are cold-blooded animals, which means that their body temperature changes to whatever the temperature around them is. So if they're outside and it's really, really warm, their body temperature is going to rise to meet that temperature and they're going to get really hot. If they're outside and it's really cold, they are also going to lower their temperature to match what's outside. So they have to be really careful about where they're at outside. They can't be too exposed into the sun because they will get too hot and they can die. Our 5th characteristic of reptiles is that they are egg-laying, and so they actually do lay hard-shelled eggs. Now, they aren't super, super hard-shelled like you think of a chicken egg, but they do have a nice, stronger membrane than, say, an amphibian egg, which is kind of more like a gelatinous mass. So we're going to go ahead and meet some of our reptile friends here at the Discovery Center and learn a little bit more about each of them. All right, so here we have maize. Maize is a corn snake, which is not a native snake to Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, we do have 20 different species of snakes. 18 are non-venomous, and we have 2 venomous species that are down in southwestern Wisconsin. Now, maize was actually one of our first education animals. He was actually in a classroom as a teacher's pet for many years, I think about 8 years. He's been with us for about 8 years. So maize is at least 16 years old. So he is one of our first education animals that we've ever had. And so as a reptile, he is definitely covered in scales. You can see he's a beautiful reddish-orange color. Corn snakes get their maize because of the patterning here underneath their bellies. It kind of has like a corn pattern to it. Ooh, hi. Corn snakes are native to the United States, more in the southeastern part of the country, mainly in Florida. And these are the snakes that you do find in pet stores. So a couple other fun things about snakes. How many legs do snakes have? None, right? They have 0 legs, but to move, they use the muscles in their bodies. If you ever watch a snake, they kind of move in a S pattern, and so they use their muscles on the outside of their bodies to kind of push themselves around and forward. They can actually climb up as well, and they'll use scales on their bellies to kind of grip and move them up and forward if they're climbing a tree. As you can see, maize here is sticking out his tongue a little bit. There it is. And if you know anything about snakes, you know that he is sticking out his tongue because snakes actually smell with their tongues. And so what he's doing, our snakes have a little forked tongue. It's sticking out into the air and picking up scent particles. The tongue is then going back in the mouth, and in the roof of a snake's mouth, there are 2 tiny holes. And so the tongue actually goes back in the mouth and sticks up into those 2 holes, and it's called the Jacobson's organ, and that is actually telling the brain what he is smelling. He's getting pretty excited right now because he's going to be fed. We do feed him mice, but they are frozen that we unthaw. So he does eat real mice here every couple weeks. He eats a little more in the summertime than during the winter and early spring. But besides legs, what's another thing that snakes do not have? Ooh, they do not have eyelids. So snakes cannot blink their eyes. They have a little special covering over their eye to keep their eyes protected, but you'll never see a snake blink because they have no eyelids. Now, every month or so, maize will shed their skin, and all snakes do this. As they grow, this scaly outer covering actually, it gets a little too small. As they enlarge, they have to shed off this old skin. They grow. It's almost like growing out of a pair of pants that's just getting a little too short and a little too tight. So they do shed their skin every so often, and that's kind of a fun thing to find out in the wild as well. So with Maze, I want to put him back and bring out another animal, but just a word of caution, Maze is a very friendly snake, and we have rules for handling him. But if you ever do see a snake in the wild, we recommend to just leave it be. Snakes can bite and they do hurt. You can also stress out an animal, and so they are great predators for rodents and things like that, but this is not an animal that you want to just go and grab. To be respectful of the animal and to be safe for yourself. Let's see who else we can meet. Here we have Myrtle. Myrtle is our ornate box turtle. In the state of Wisconsin, we do have 11 different species of turtles. 1 is endangered, 2 are threatened, 2 are species of concern, and the other 6 are in moderate decline. And Myrtle here is actually our only endangered turtle in the state of Wisconsin. She was given to us by the DNR as she was part of a rearing program, and for some reason they were unable to release her back into the wild and they needed a home for her, so she came to the Discovery Center several years ago. Now, as a box turtle, she is completely terrestrial, which means she lives only on land. And you can see here she's kind of tucked in. But ornate box turtles, they get their name because their shell is so beautifully, it looks like someone took a paintbrush and just painted this really neat pattern on it. She's one of our sassiest of all of our critters. We love taking her out. A couple things about turtles before I meet our other turtles. They have 2 sides to their shell. The top part of a turtle shell is known as a carapace. The bottom part is known as a plastron. And what's different about box turtles is that their plastron actually has a little hinge right here. And if I kind of push on this, you can kind of see that this can actually close all the way. Box turtles are unique in that their plastron has hinges and they're able to completely enclose themselves inside this little shell package. Now she's a little chunky because she does enjoy her snacks, so she can't really fit all the way in, but that's a really cool adaptation of box turtles where they can completely turn themselves into a little turtle puck. So let's see what other turtles we can meet. Here we have Tudley. Tudley is a painted turtle, very native to Wisconsin, very, very common. He is completely aquatic, and so you can see with his shell, if you look at this carapace that he has, it's very kind of low and very, very smooth, which makes them very, very aerodynamic when they're going through the water. They're extremely well adapted to living in the water, and so their shells are very smooth and a little bit more flat than what Myrtle had because she's only on land. With Tudley, if you look carefully, you can see that his front feet are missing, and that is the reason he's here with us at the Discovery Center. He was found struggling in a lake with fishing line wrapped completely around his front feet. Somebody had got their line caught in a tree, just decided to clip it and leave it hanging, and he got tangled in it. He was brought to the Northwoods Wildlife Center, to our friends there, and then they asked us to home him and use him for education. So he's a great turtle to learn about why we need to be respectful and careful when we're out fishing and making sure we never leave anything behind. But this is our little Tudley, and you can see his plastron is one solid piece. He cannot enclose himself in this shell. Carapace, plastron. He is still feisty. Just because he doesn't have front hands doesn't slow him down at all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about our reptilian friends here at the Discovery Center. We will try to do more videos on those reptiles and get more in depth on adaptations of each of those critters, but just wanted to get you an idea of who we have here and who you might see when you're coming to programs with the Discovery Center. If you're interested in learning more about the programs that we do or interested in becoming a member or donating, please visit our website, discoverycenter.net. Everything that you need to know about us is on there. We appreciate your time today and your support. Thanks and have a great one. We'll see you next time.